I'm not this house of flesh and bone, which sleeps, decays, and dies. I am immortal consciousness, Lord of the earth and skies. So, if you feel that from your innermost being, there's a still presence within you, which outlives your physical body and your mental body and emotional body. And this all-pervading consciousness, this thought-free state of tranquil awareness is your Atma. And that is the true self. And your body and mind are your apparent self. Some people die and they're reborn again due to intense desire. Some people die and they're reborn after 100 years. They say the Buddha is reborn after every 2000 years. So the more punya you have. So this is a cycle of birth and death. The Atma says, I am the sun, you are my ray, you must become the whole. By ceaseless Kriya practice, by ceaseless meditation, your spirit shall unfold. He's given the remedy how to break the karmic bond. I am the sun, you are my ray, you must become the whole. By ceaseless Kriya practice, your spirit shall unfold. Every action they do is not their action. It is Iccha Shakti, Ishwar ki Iccha. Ishwar ka Gyan or Ishwar ki Kriya. Every action they do is of God, Ishwar. Every knowledge they impart is God speaking. The telescope you will require, if you're looking from Andromeda galaxy to the Milky Way, our galaxy, you would have to have a telescope which is magnified 40 billion times to see our little solar system as a small speck, an atom with the electrons going around it. That's our planet. That's how small we are.
Namaste, welcome back. Different location at the same ashram for an evening sit-down session with Gurunath. Since we finished the last session, it's been running in my head. Why do we aspire for moksha at all? Why must we end this cycle of life and birth and death? Why not keep coming back and live through the experiences?
So the basic answer for this is, why do we strive for moksha? The simple answer for this is because the waft and weft of the whole of creation is tending towards a final settlement of peace and quiet called moksha. The final creation is settling towards that its parent source. We want moksha because it is our parent source. It is our true nature. It is what we essentially are. And what is that which we strive to be one with? That all-pervading consciousness of stillness through eternity must of necessity proclaim its ultimate reality, composed of nothing, yet of which all else is sure composed. It stands supreme beyond all dreams, eternally reposed. I have just described what in layman's words we call God. God is the all-pervading consciousness of stillness through eternity. Like they have described the Sadguru state as one with God. Ekam nityam vimalam achalam sarvade sakshi bhutam. The witness to all the deeds of creation. Bhavatitam, beyond all emotions and bhavnas. Triguna rahitam, beyond the three gunas. Sadgurum Tvam Namami. So such a person is the Sadgurum who has merged into the finality, the final reality. We don't say God, but we say the ultimate reality. So we want God, we want the ultimate reality, or we want moksha. That is the liberation of the Atma from all its karma. We want that state of peace because it is our parent source. And secondly, to avoid all the trauma and the pains of the relativity of life, which is caused by the gunas and by karma, we can get rid of. Somebody is dying today, tomorrow somebody is suffering somebody's got a lottery, somebody's died in an accident. So all these things can be avoided, which are the hallmarks of relativity. Joy and sorrow, light and dark, these duality of opposites teach me to override. As the yogi has said, why? To get rid of pain and suffering, to go to your parent source, number one, and to end all the human sorrows. Each individual can end all his sorrows and pains when he gets to that state of eternal peace, and yet live on in that state of peaceful awareness. That is why moksha is necessary. It says, in one of my poems of karma, I have said, "Tell me, O spirit of my soul, what is my final goal? Tell me, O spirit of my soul, what is my final goal?" And then he goes on to say, is there any such remedy to break this karmic hold? So he says, "O spirit free, take me to the other side, beyond this joy and sorrow, night and dark." I will tell you, it's a portion of karma where we want to get rid of karma. And he has finally said, in desperation, he has said, it is to avoid this, all this. "O Hamsa, spirit of my soul, what is my final goal? Is there any such remedy to break this karmic hold? This duality of opposites, teach me to override. Take me with thee, O spirit free, unto the other side." The spirit free is his own father in heaven, his own God essence. And therefore, a parent strives for his own true nature like a child strives to be with his mother, like children strive to be with their parents. So to end, the ending of all sorrows comes with moksha, and you get to your true nature. These are the two basic things which are required.
That's a good segue into perhaps the next part of the conversation, which is on karma. Comes from a little bit of personal experience. So, my next question, you see, every time anybody is suffering in the body or mentally or with relationships, whatever, people say that, oh, apne karm bhugat rahe. Matlab, every suffering that one is experiencing in this life is a cause of karmic baggage from past lives.
Yes.
But then I am not creating, I'm just living in this life. If that is true, then I'm just living a consequence of my past lives.
Yes.
While I'm not creating anything new for the next lives.
It's both. You're creating new karma by every new action you do every day, and your past sanskars bring forth the actions of your past life, whose reactions you have to suffer or to enjoy. If you do good deeds in the past, you will get good results. If you do bad deeds, you will get bad results. It's like Newton's third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So it's very, very important to do good deeds. To the truth is truth begot. The liar gets his own. So do such actions whose reactions you won't mourn. Your individual present explains your individual past. To each one is allotted his exact and proper task according to his desire, his vocation and calling, and his past karma. Then they say, how do I know what I was in the past? So I tell them, doctor, your individual present explains your individual past. To each one is allotted his exact and proper task. If you were a doctor in your past life, you become a better doctor this life, or a surgeon this life. If you were a painter, you become a greater painter this life, an artist. And if you are an engineer, you become a better engineer. If you are meditating in the past life, you will find yourself sitting here, listening to a person who's talking about meditation, who's talking about how we can seek our inner nature. Surely, I'm not so shallow and a piece of flesh and bone and nervous system and an endocrine system. I'm not this house of flesh and bone which sleeps, decays, and dies. I am immortal consciousness, Lord of the earth and skies. So, if you feel that from your innermost being, there's a still presence within you which outlives your physical body and your mental body and emotional body. And this all-pervading consciousness, this thought-free state of tranquil awareness is your Atma. And that is the true self. And your body and mind are your apparent self. So the idea of yoga and striving for moksha is to get over the delusion of your apparent self, of your body, mind and ego, and contact the still point of eternity, which is your true self, your everlasting Atma. That is the purpose.
If I may delve on this a little bit longer,
Yes.
Gurunath. So, if I do not take care of this body, and for example, I'm working with some Vaidyas very closely, and I recently learned that there are 6 stages of progression of disease according to Ayurveda. The first 3 are pre-symptomatic, and then the laters are when disease starts settling in the organs and so on and so forth. If I don't have knowledge, or I'm ignorant, or don't want to go in this direction and keep popping pills for my diabetes or blood pressure, or whatever I may have as modern medicine asks me to, then it is almost the consequence of this is that during the old age, I will suffer severe progression of disease. I'm not curing myself. And this is my conundrum with karma. Am I suffering during my old age because of actions of this life, or is it suffering because that is being caused because of my past life? I find it is the consequence of my bad decisions, or I don't know, my ignorance, or my unwillingness to be open about, say, things like Ayurveda versus popping pills at every drop of a hat.
If you take Ayurveda and you live according to the circadian rhythms of the earth, eat in time, eat the fruits of the time, be natural, live the natural way, take natural fruits, you shall live in harmony with nature and enjoy a better life. If you take chemicals which are more suppressing the disease than expressing it and getting over with, then you will suffer the reaction of those actions.
Ji.
You see? So therefore, it all boils down to how you want to live your life. If you live a healthy life, the results will be healthy. If you live a life of medication and pills, then the reaction will be suppressive.
So clearly my suffering in this body may be a consequence of this life and not necessarily past lives.
No, it's much more complex than that. Normally what happens that what you create in this life goes full circle, matures in the nether regions, turns itself into consolidated karma and comes as your sanchit karma, ready to be expressed as soon as the favorable circumstances allow itself to happen. There are very few actions which you take an action, you get an immediate reaction. No, it doesn't happen like that. Even in court, a thief steals something or somebody murders someone. He doesn't get immediate death. He goes through the procedure of relativity. He has to face the court, the government lawyer, his own lawyer, they fight the case. When it is proved that he has truly committed this thing, he gets a punishment commensurate with the action that he has done. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now the duration of the action will be determined by the type of karma and the type of duration it requires. You see, like even some people die, they are reborn again due to intense desire. Some people die and they are reborn after 100 years. They say the Buddha is reborn after every 2000 years. So the more punya you have. So this is a cycle of birth and death. It matures, it takes its time. It takes its time. And it is necessary for you to understand the law of karma before these questions. If I may read to you a poetry which I have done, this will answer 99.9% of the questions. So if you like, I could read it if you're okay with it.
Yes,
and
of course.
We have a poem here which explains all the injustices underlying human treatment and behavior. People feel, Are, what's the use of this life? Those fellows who are sinning away and enjoying themselves, they seem to be prospering more. And here I'm being a holy man and meditating and I seem to be suffering. But you don't see your past. What you have done in the past may be causing you this process of hardship and penance. Maybe what he has done in his past requires him to enjoy life. So it all depends on karma, action. It's a small poem, you try to understand this, it's a nice one. It's called Karma. The karma is a soliloquy between the mind, your mind and your soul. That is the mind and your spirit. So the mind says, I brushed aside the curtain of the window of mine eye, third eye. I brushed aside the curtain of the window of mine eye and beheld the sparkling truth, that is the Atma, the spirit, and beheld the sparkling truth that within me did reply, O man, you are not this house of flesh and bone, which sleeps, decays, and dies. You are immortal consciousness, Lord of the earth and the skies. Then you ask the question, it's like you asking the question to me, who is the Atma. Then burdened, why am I with this coat of flesh and bone? I questioned earnestly that truth, my very conscious home. This coat your seed desire was, whose fruit is now your own. Created by yourself, you must reap what you have sown. If you have sown tomato seeds, you won't get cucumber. If you've sown cucumber, you'll get cucumber. If you've sown tomato seeds, you'll get tomato. If you've sown thorn seeds, seeds of thorn trees, you will get thorns. Don't expect to loot and rape and ravage and cheat people your whole life and then expect a nice, cozy, holy life. No, the reaction will come as per your deeds. Is this also the reason for the hardships of my life? Yes, each cause has its relation, just as husband has a wife. Not that wife is a bad thing, it's just that if he prays well, he gets a beautiful wife, a good wife. If he's not bad with his wife in the past life, he gets a nagging wife. Usually nagging wife, they keep nagging you till the work is done. They make the progress. The karmic wheel goes on by the nagging of the wife. At the night, she whispers the pillow mantra at your pillow. So the man says, okay, here's a check of 100,000 rupees. So he says, is this also the reason for the hardships of my life? He says, yes, just as each cause has a relation, just as husband has a wife. Every action its reaction has, with certainty that's true. Do good works, results of which shall mold your life anew. Because why we think that, oh, I've been in an accident, why have I got hurt? That's because we don't realize what we've done in the past. That's the only thing which plays us unfair. If we could see the past, then we would be happy to take the punishment. Pray tell me why the difference twixt the people on this earth. Why do some have poverty, some no financial dearth? Why is some sad and others gay, some sick and others strong? Is this the outcome of past deeds, of personal right and wrong? You see, this poem is so good, it's answering exactly what the questions are. Is this my past deeds? That chap is a rich person with no effort, and here I'm trying hard at my shop to do my business. So it is the outcome of the collection of your past deeds. So the Atma, the spirit, tells the mind, Atma tells Buddhi, you've spoken well and seem to know God's mathematic law. All's wrongs must be redressed indeed. This fact it has no flaw. All rights are rewarded in proportion and no more. To each one is meted out his exact and proper score. Exact, mind you. So don't complain that he got a lottery and you didn't and you bought the ticket at the same day. It is the past which is determining. So no injustice is done to anybody, remember. This is a beautiful poem. I've made it a text of study for the Hamsa Yog Sang, for the Hamsa Nath Yog, Nath Parampara. You've spoken well and seem to know God's mathematic law. All wrongs must be redressed indeed. This fact it has no flaw. All rights are rewarded in proportion and no more. To each one is meted out his exact and proper score. This unbribable judge we people call the karmic law. The supervisor of the fates of our worldly seesaw. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum, kabhi khushi, kabhi gum. So life is a seesaw. To be in the fulcrum of steady mind. This unbribable judge we people call the karmic law, the supervisor of the fates of our worldly seesaw, who justly balances the ups and downs of lives of man, fitting the jigsaw of our fates as we ourselves had planned. What proof, Hamsa's Atma, can one get of his former karma? That is your question. That I did bad and I did wrong. What proof, Hamsa Atma, can one get of his former karma? The proof, your own existence. Buddy, if you're a lame person and it cannot be cured, that means you've done something pretty lame in your past life. And if you those pole vault jumpers or athletic people, you've led a healthy life. What proof, Hamsatma, can one get of his former karma? Your proof, your own existence, circumstances, and your dharma. See, the proof of karma is dharma. That means how many aggregate of electron, protons, and neutrons you have. If more electrons and luminosity, you'll be meditating. If more tamasic and neutrinos, you'll be eating stale food and stealing, or actually doing menial work and manual labor. What proof, Hamsatma, can one get of his former karma? The proof, your own existence, circumstances, and your dharma. Your individual present tells your reciprocal past. As per their past desires, people get their present task. To the truth is truth begot. The liar gets his own. So make your actions such whose reactions you don't mourn. To the likeness of your thinking shall your character be made. So dig deep your mind for noble thoughts with intellectual spade. Then he gets frustrated. He's in exasperation. He says, "Oh, Hamsa, spirit of my soul, what is my final goal? Tell me my final goal. I don't want joy and sorrow, happiness, light, dark. I don't want all this suffering and all that. Oh, Hamsa, spirit of my soul." The Hamsa swan is the Jivatma, Atma. Oh, Hamsa, spirit of my soul, what is my final goal? Is there any such remedy to break this karmic hold? This duality of opposites, teach me to override. Take me with thee, O spirit free, onto the other side. Even if it's death, I will still be in the arms of God, as alive as ever. Then God says, the Atma says, I am the sun, you are my ray, you must become the whole. By ceaseless Kriya practice, by ceaseless meditation, I, your spirit, shall unfold. He's given the remedy how to break the karmic bond. I am the sun, you are my ray, you must become the whole. By ceaseless Kriya practice, I, your spirit, shall unfold. The ray become the blazing sun, yourself as me behold. Om Tat Sat Om. Om Tat Sat Om. This answers 99.9% of the questions, and the duration of how fast it will react will depend upon the intensity of the karma. The intensity of the action you do will get an equal and opposite reaction. Those who believe in Newton's third law of motion must believe in the law of karma. It is based on scientific fact.
Gurunath, India, starting with
Gurunath, after this poem, I'm very, very satisfied. And I have not much questions to ask you. But still, there's one little twiddling question like the tail of the scorpion, which I'm going to ask you. Right? Is that one?
yeah.
Okay.
Since 712 AD, when India first got invaded or attacked and we lost Multan, Sindh, and then 1196 or 1206 when we lost Delhi and most of Ganga Basin right from Afghanistan to Bengal. We've seen tremendous suffering under the Islamo-Turkic rule, then later under the British, for almost 400 years under Islamic
Yes,
Turkic.
400 years
British,
under
later
foreign
under the
rule, yes.
British. And just terrible, terrible suffering like no other part of the world has seen. What did we do as a collective?
We definitely underwent a very negative phase, a phase of suffering, trial and tribulation, which we deserve to go due to our past karma, our ancient past of maybe a past world cycle or the Lemurian Atlantis time or the Lemurian time. You know, their civilization of the civilizations, the Hyperborean civilization, then thousands of years later came the Lemurian civilization. After that came the Atlantean civilization. Lemurian civilization maybe at the time of Narsimha, the avatar of Narsimha and Vaman, half man, half god. Then the Atlantean civilization at the time of Ravan, Sri Lanka, India. Those were all the yugas and the ages. And after the Atlantean, then came the Aryan civilization now, which is there. And now the tables seem to have turned, and India is rising, shining India, rising India to a top new karma, which is favorable karma. So like we suffered in the past, we will rejoice in material glory and spiritual splendor in the present also. So the cycle spares no man. This is very important.
One last question.
Yes, yes.
on this. This has bothered me a lot. Ramakrishna Paramhans, as well as Ramana Maharishi, great beings and masters, both had cancer towards the end of their lives. Why would they suffer? Why would they not just cure their bodies? And
This was a good question. He said, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Ramana Maharishi, and Nisargadatta Maharaj, all three were enlightened beings in their right. Why did they all have to suffer cancer? Could they have not conquered the cancer and had a good life? So there are two types of beings. These beings were going towards liberation. And the last part of their karma before being liberated may be that they had to go through that karmic phase of cancer. That was why they had the cancer before they, and during and while they were enlightened also they had the cancer. This is one of the answers which people give. The second answer is that they had no cancer. They took on the karma of their disciples. And taking on the karma of their disciples, they relieved them, progressed them up towards moksha, and they themselves, taking the cancer, had already got moksha. They suffered this and then took their moksha. This is the second explanation. The third explanation is that 50-50. They had their own karma of cancer, they took on their disciples' karma, and yet they all attained moksha. So these are very dicey questions, and they have certain grades and shades which the disciples can, meditating on their own masters, find out for themselves. But there is another question which I'd like to ask, that people like Yoga Avatar Lahiri Mahasaya, he rose from the ashes and went up in a splendor of light. He had no cancer. He cured the cancer of the world. He went up. Jnanavatar Sri Yukteswar was healthy when he went, and they all went into the highest samadhi with no cancer, no disease, no ailment. And yet they took on the karma of their disciples. They may have been stronger superhuman beings, avataric beings, who could swallow the cancer, make it go into recession, overcome it, and yet get to their final state. So these are all grades and shades. But they definitely, it could be their own karma and partially the karma of their disciples.
In answering all these questions of karma, you perhaps have answered this, and I just want to reconfirm my thoughts on, in India we all say that Jaisi Ishwar ki Iccha. Is there anything which is Ishwar ki Iccha, or is it only law of karma?
It is the law of karma for every single individual who is bound by karma, who does not have moksha. Every person who has karma, who has come to this earth, who is not liberated, who is not enlightened, has his own karma. But by saying Ishwar ki Iccha, he is practicing the renunciation of ownership of his body and his karma. By practicing this, he is surrendering everything to Ishwar, which makes his burden lighter and invokes gentle blessings every time he says that. Jaise Prabhu ki Iccha. Only those people who are liberated and have no karma, they unite with the three Shaktis of the cosmos called Iccha Shakti, Gyan Shakti, Iccha Shakti of Shiva, Gyan Shakti of Vishnu, and Kriya Shakti of Brahma. And once they have no desire, they have gone into the highest Nirvan Niranjan Moksha. Every action they do is not their action, it is Iccha Shakti, Ishwar ki Iccha. Ishwar ka Gyan or Ishwar ki Kriya. Every action they do is of God, Ishwar. Every knowledge they impart is God speaking. And every action and willful states of supraconscious states of samadhi they achieve is the Iccha Shakti of Shiva. Because they have no karma, so they have to combine with the cosmic law, and they can say, Jaise Prabhu ki Iccha. They won't even say, they will do it and it will be Prabhu ki Iccha. An action done by an enlightened man can never go wrong because he is tied to the actions of the Lord God. That is the difference. If you are in duality, you can't say Ishwar ki Iccha wo tumhare karma hai. But if you are in reality, not in relativity, and you are enlightened in reality, then every thought, word and deed of yours is Ishwar ki Iccha. Now he has asked me to speak about the Kalki Avatar. First, let me explain to you that the time of the coming of the Kalki Avatar is nigh. The Kalki Avatar is variously known as the second advent of Christ in Christianity, the coming of the Imam Mahdi in Islam, the coming of Maitreya Buddha in Buddhism. So these are various names which the second advent, the coming of the Kalki Avatar. And it is said from many people, many astrologers who have seen, many people about whom we have heard, that the Kalki Avatar, who is the Maitreya Buddha, is already taken birth in a place in Odisha which is called Sambalpur. He is already in his late teens and early days. the Kalki Avatar has been born. But he has not revealed himself as yet. So although this Kalki Avatar has come upon this planet Earth, who is known as the second advent of Christ, and the Maitreya Buddha and the Imam Mahdi, although he has come, they say that he is prophesied and he is residing at Sambalpur in Odisha, but he has not revealed himself as yet. The prophecies are saying that he will reveal himself in 2032, 7 years from hence, in a place called Sambal, which is in Uttar Pradesh. Now a very peculiar thing has happened, that this Kalki Avatar was to come 280 to 300 years hence from now. But the power and the people of Shiva, every place that has a big Shiva temple, especially a Mercury Shiva temple, these are the vortices of power. On this world system, they are centers of vortices of power. This is one of the unique vortices of powers. The biggest Mercury shivling in the world is here behind you, sir. Are you aware of that?
Yes, Gurunath.
They have used the power because Shiva is the Iccha Shakti. Vishnu is Jnana Shakti. Brahma is Kriya Shakti, the lower Kriyas. The Iccha Shakti, by the power of his own being, has pulled the Yuga, pulled this Yuga into the present age. 300 years, he has accelerated the process by 300 years. By their Kriya practice, Shiva, his disciples, by their Kriya practice, by whatever practice there is, wherever they are centers of Shiva, and they have pulled it and the incarnation has taken place now. Let me explain to you the three forces which will work with the Kalki. The first supreme force is the monarch force, that is our group concerned with us, the Shiva energy. White and purple, white and violet is the color. The highest, most powerful color, even in the galaxies and stars, you see the white and violet stars, the most scintillating, the most powerful quasar. The white, the first ray is Shiva, color white and violet. The second ray is Vishnu, color white and gold. The third ray is Brahma, white and orange. These are the three rays of the same person called Ishwar. Ishwar is a Trimurti of Iccha Shakti Shambhu, Jnana Shakti Vishnu, and Kriya Shakti Brahma. All are one and the same person. Power mode, when I'm in my power mode, I'm called Shiva. When I'm in my knowledge mode, I'm called Vishnu. And when I'm in the mode of working for creation and service, I'm called Brahma. But I am the same. So Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are three aspects of the same Parameshwar, who is incarnated as Ishwar on this earth. That concept is very clear. Now, there's a Pujari in Sambal who has got a map which is over 1,000 years old. He procured it from his ancestors, who say that it was from the time of Maharaja Manu Satyavrat. Manu Satyavrat has given a map. In the map, he has said exactly where the Kalki Avatar will proclaim himself. He said, this is the place where the Kalki Avatar will proclaim itself. It will be the center. It will be equidistant from the Bhagirathi river and the Ram Ganga. Where Kalki will come in Sambal, it's there, the map is there, I've got that map. Where the Kalki will proclaim himself in Sambal, the Harihareshwar temple, he will proclaim himself there, will be 36 kilometers from Ram Ganga. It will be 36 kilometers from Bhagirathi Ganga. In the center will be the avtaran or proclamation of the Kalki Avatar. Besides that, there is a smaller temple of Maharaja Manu, Satyavrat Manu, Manu Satyavrat. So Manu Satyavrat had prophesied, built his temple there, and he later had this map commissioned. The map is still with the pujaris, these old maps, they are custodians of this map. Now, what will happen when the Kalki comes? That is the next issue. So, we will all have to work at our levels, whatever levels we are. Shiva and his disciples work at the Atmic level, Vishnu and his disciples work at the Bouddhic level, and Brahma and his disciples work at the Karmic level, the Mansik level of Kriya. So, does that mean that you will all be in meditation and samadhi, just doing meditation in the first ray? No, because you'll have a mixture of Sattva, Rajas, and Tama. So, some of you will go into action. Maybe it will be, you will come back the next life when Kalki will proclaim himself, or you will be grayer people, more matured in this life. You will be very much there. So, we brace and prepare ourselves the best as we can, not to work under the Kalki and his people who are there, but to work alongside with him. The power of Shiva will work alongside with Kalki, and the power of Brahma will work alongside. And if the resources are less, then the storehouse of power will be with us, the people of Shiva. So this is what is said about the Kalki Avatar, and we must get ready by practicing Kriya regularly, by doing simple work, do all the work, meditate, go into trance of Shiva, do the pravachan and talking of Vishnu, pick up the leaves and sweep the floor. What Brahma, our Lord, has told us, that service and humility dissolves the ego. Clean the ashram, pick up the leaves, jhadu maro, pocha maro, mandir ko saaf karo, hichak mat karo. Don't hesitate to work with the servants. Snatch the sword from this broom from his hand and do it. That's what all of you have been doing all this while. And there's one lady who is sitting here, because in a general speech I won't mention, she went sweeping the floor and her asthma got cured. She's sitting here amongst us. Later I can tell you off the screen. So that's how the Lord rewards you. And asthma is such a thing, if you sweep and the dhool gets in, it gets worse. Oh, the dhool went in and the asthma went off totally. This is what is happening at these places. This is the power center of the world. One of the main vortices and power centers of the world today is this place in Punya Nagari, this place of Har Har Mahadev, the Pardeshwar Shivling. Very powerful indeed. So your place is very much fixed. You will first start working at the astral spheres and then get on to the physical spheres. But there are still 7 years left. Prepare yourselves, and in whatever capacity you can work. The main capacity, the most powerful work, is send out thoughts, positive thoughts of peace and vibration, unity and vibration. But the Kalki has come to destroy the evil. But if we send out vibrations of unity and spirituality and oneness of religion, we can lessen the impact or injury to all our brother fellows on this earth, whether they be the Devgan, the Manushyagan, or the Rakshasgan people. All of them are our brothers. To all of them we send peace and love. To all of them we strengthen them. And if they turn about a new leaf, Kalki's work is lightened. And if his work is lightened, our work is lightened. So this is still shrouded in mystery. He has not declared himself. Even the people going from Shiva's side, they have not declared themselves. But they will be so powerful in their radiance and so powerful in their magnetism that you will be able to tell who is the representative of Shiva. Because representative of Shiva is usually a powerhouse. If he sits before you, he will do two things. His outside, his spiritual body will blast you with a blinding radiance. And the inside, which is beyond the radiance, will be pulling you. Gurutva, intense gravitation pull. So you'll all be pulled towards him. That is the sign of seeing if you want to know the spiritual body of a master, he is totally radiant around him, blinding like a million suns. His radiance you will see in meditation. And in the center will be even more bright, will neither be light nor dark. but beyond comprehension, the eternal spark that will be pulling you, it will be a gravitas, so it will be electromagnetic, and in the center will be a still center. You will be able to feel and intuitively know the center, but you will not know whether it is light or dark, what is pulling you or pushing you. But that is the center of the Sadguru, which will attract the whole world, if he is a true Sadguru. So this will happen. Let us not assume anything. Let us wait for the things to happen. These are the details which I have with me, and I have given you all these details. Have faith above all in yourself, and then in the faith that the new era will dawn upon us, the dawn of the new age. If humanity is to herald the dawn of the new age, the coming of Kalki, the coming of Shiva, let us all realize that humanity is our uniting religion, breath our uniting prayer, and consciousness our uniting God.